Noel Goodman, Director of Products with Achieveit Solutions, and today we're going to be a Credit and Collections Manager, and I'd like to see how Resolve for SAP Business One 9.2 on HANA can help both me and my staff manage our accounts receivable and collection processes. Let's start by opening up the Order to Cash customer inquiry. As the manager, this is going to give me an overview into everything that's happening, and you can see that I'm able to quickly see information that would be useful to many employees in our company, but I have quotations, orders, and the like, but I want to focus on AR invoices. I can quickly see that I have open 47 documents with a little over $1 million in open accounts receivable right now. At any point in time, I could use any of the filters, such as showing the item details to see which items were sold, filtering on a particular sales employee, or selecting a customer. So here I've focused on St. James General Store, and I can see that I have 4 documents out them for a total of a little over $1,100. So here, if I wanted to take a look at their history, I will see there's none for me, but we'll switch to all sales employees, and you can see that I get complete history. And then I've done a total of 133 invoices worth a little over $200,000 with them that they've paid. If I want to see everything, I can simply click choose both, and I'll be able to see the total amount that has now been processed. Let me go ahead and switch back to open documents so we can review a little bit more detail the information that's presented to me. As you can see here, I'm presented with the document number, and this gives me the ability to drill in to actually see the invoice. I can see all the details for the invoice. I can also drill into the customer. It gives me information about both when the invoice was dated and its due, tracking numbers, total value, both in terms of the merchandise itself and the document value, in case there were any taxes or shipping charges or other things that were the different values. We can use the filters. So for instance, if I'm looking for a UPS tracking number, I'll just go ahead and paste that on here. You can see I'm able to quickly find the exact document that is associated with that. And as we showed before with the sales employee, I also have the ability to filter. I can filter by warehouse, by sales employee, by dates as well. Next, let's drill into the customer. Here you can see I'm quickly presented with all the information about the customer, and we have an AR collections tab, which will give us a lot of information for me to be able to use when I'm making credit decisions or other decisions related to this customer. I can see their aging detail broken out into the individual buckets, so I'm able to drill in and see what portion of their balance is current, again being able to look at the number of documents and size, as well as those that are overdue. So I can see here we've got some that are 61 to 90 days overdue, and I might want to follow up on those. It will also give me the total, which will match their AR balance, as well as the amount of orders they have outstanding. So here you can see St. James currently has $1,800 worth of sales orders outstanding with me. Again, 9 different documents that I haven't delivered yet. So when I take a look at this, it's going to add these two things together to give me a total exposure. You can see that the total exposure for St. James General Store is now $5,400 if I was to ship all of my existing sales orders. My credit limit is only $6,000, so they only have about $586 left in spending power. If I have an assigned accounting person that I'd like to have them follow up with in case of any R issues, I have the ability to come in here and choose that, and that will make it so that when we look at the collections tracking documents, we'll know who's going to be responsible for that. Notice over here it gives me a full history, in this case going all the way back to 2013, so I know the number of invoices that were processed during each month. I'll know whether or not they were paid. I can see the average value of the invoices, the average days to pay, so I can look at that as a trend over time, number of average days past due, and the high balance that occurred during each of those months. Again, this information allows me not only to spot issues that I may have outstanding, but also the payment history and success that we've had with this customer in the past. Again, this may aid me in being able to make a decision as to what I'm going to do with a sales order approval or other kind of collections document. Let's also take a look at the related collections. Now, a collections incident is a document that we can use to keep track of any interaction we have with our customer in terms of collecting on our receivables. So you'll notice here that I have 3 different invoices. I have the ability to go ahead and add other documents as well. So whether it's myself as the credit manager, or in this case Howard, who's working on the collections incident, we could go ahead and link it to any sales orders that we need to approve and we're holding based on payment, also any credit memos, incoming payments, and other documents here. In addition to being able to see the 3 different invoices, it gives me the information about the total. So we're trying to collect a total of $2,633, and it shows me both the original balance as well as the current outstanding balance, which is useful in case there were any partial payments or one of these documents was to get paid. You'll notice the comment here is that this was automatically created. In this particular system, I have it set to automatically create when the invoices go 7 days past due, and that's completely configurable. So you can choose what your tolerance is going to be for those invoices. Now up here, it's giving me the information that I would need if I needed to reach out. It tells me my customer name, contact that I need to reach, the telephone number. In this case, it's telling me it's assigned to Howard. It was created on August 19th, and the next follow-up date is the 11th. Let's go ahead and take a look at the activity. So here you can see all of the interactions that we had based on this call incident. So we started off by trying to just call. We reached their voicemail. Following after that, we sent an email, no response. When we did call, we reached them, and it looks like we were able to schedule a meeting. The meeting resulted in a dispute where the customer was saying that delivery was was late, so they'd like a discount. Looks like we approved that and sent them an agreement letter saying that we would offer them a 2% discount if they were paid in 10 days, and they went ahead and promised to pay. Unfortunately, they promised to pay the $25.81, which was the total minus the 2%, but they didn't keep their promise. Looks like Howard here tried to follow up, so he sent a voicemail, an email. Ultimately, he reached them, and he was told that the AP is not processing their request. We sent them a warning letter and ultimately sent them to collections. Based on sending them to collections, we got another promise to pay. In this case, we told them they needed to pay the full amount because the agreement with the discount is no longer available. And it looks like earlier today we had been reached with a phone call and told that we're actually getting it on the 10th because the check was mailed today. You'll notice up here that the date to follow up is set to the 11th, so we can make sure that we actually did in fact get this should the invoices still be open and this document is there. A couple of different things that the collections tracking is able to do. So for instance, if I wanted more information, I can display the aging and be able to drill in and see all of the information that we looked at before. So I can see their current aging, their high balance, their average days to pay. You can also see their payment details both from here or from the collections tracking document. The payment details gives me the information about how they paid, mostly by check. Here's some by credit card, and I'm able to drill in to see the actual details of the incoming payment and what it applied. I'm looking at this as a manager, so it's giving me an overview, and we'll take a look at some reports for that in just a minute. But if I was working as a collection specialist and I needed to be able to get to my next task, I don't need to go to an aging report or another report. I can simply just click on next follow-up, and this will take me to the next task that I'm responsible for. As you can see, it's now for Amazon. I would need to contact Amazon. I'm going to cancel out of this, and we'll go ahead and take a look at back on the customer at some of the collection tracking reports. Now, these reports are available both at the customer basis and also on the main menu. So if I wanted to be able to see the history of collections for the St. James General Store, I'm going to go ahead and say I want to see it in full detail. You'll see it gives me a running commentary of all of the history that we've had in terms of collecting them. You'll notice here there's two different tracking numbers, the 61 that we were looking at before, as well as a newer one, 66, that's being handled by a different collection specialist. And this is useful because it gives a salesperson, it gives the AR specialist, it gives whoever's going to be working with the customer an idea of what's going on without needing to go find emails or folders. You'll notice that I also can go ahead and take a look and see how successful have they been with keeping their promises. So let's see if they've broken any promises. And they did. They did break that promise that we talked about before. They had promised us to pay on September 8th and did not. So one broken promise is not terrible, but we would want to be able to monitor that in the future when we're making credit decisions. Lastly, we can go ahead and take a look and see if there's any orders on hold. So we have quite a few sales orders here that need to be approved. You can see here which template failed. So we had the sales order template, and we're waiting for Faizan to make the approval, and each of these documents won't be able to ship until we're able to process the approval. Let's take a look at those same reports from the point of view of me as a collection manager. In here you can see when I run the same report and I don't filter it on a particular customer, I can go ahead and see, okay, well, let's take a look at everything that manager needs to follow up on. And also I can go ahead and put in follow-up dates to be able to see what it is that they're working on. So if I want to see everything that they're working on this month, I can go ahead and click that, and it will filter down to just the collections trackings that they've set to follow up on this month. Again, I can drill in and see the information about the customer, the document balance, business partner balance, and so on. If I want more details, I can come again in here and choose all of the comments, which will give me full feedback as to what's going on for that particular person. Now, what's interesting is I can also go back and take a look at the history. So if I want to see what was done in August, I can get all of the details to see what this collection specialist did during the month of August. This is useful because I can evaluate the performance of each of my collection specialists, as well as being able to use it for team planning meetings, such as if I'm going to review on Friday all of the work that needs to come up for the following week, I have the ability to take a look at this. And I have the ability, again, to filter on history, open, closed, high priority, low priority, individual collection specialists, or customers in a certain range if I'd like to. Another great report for me to be able to use, especially when I need to report to my CFO, is the cash receipts forecast. The cash receipts forecast is going to give me the ability to see what I expect to receive, but not just based on the due dates like you would get from an aging report, but now based on the actual performance of my customers. So here I'm going to say I want to use the last 6 months worth of data to figure out each of the customers' average days to pay. I want to see in weekly interval what I'm going to be receiving over the next couple of weeks. I could choose detail view or summary view. In this case, I'm interested just in the summary view, and you can see for each of the different customers the calculated average days to pay, and now it's going to show me the total balance for each customer and then the amount that I expect to receive in each week, so I can see exactly what I'm going to get from any of the individual customers and the totals that I'm expecting to receive. This is great because now I'm able to give my CFO more confidence about when I expect to be receiving cash. Earlier, we also talked about the sales order approval, And sales order approvals give us the ability to control our sales order workflow. And in here, you can see I have this one order from Kmart, and it actually failed two different templates. So you can see here, one was that it did not get approved by EDI, and so I need to be the person that makes the decision. But also, the sales order was over a limit, so therefore, Faizan needs to be able to make the approval. I can make my approval decision right here, as well as seeing the status of everyone else's approval decisions. And the order is now treated as one document, allowing me to be able to see all of the steps that need to happen before this can ship. If I have a situation where, for example, I have a pre-release product, we just recently had the iPhone 7 released, and as you know, many of the stores took pre-orders. It's important that I can't ship any of those orders in advance or I'd get in trouble with my manufacturer. In that case, you might have a sales order approval to stop all of those orders from processing until the release date. And then if you have hundreds of orders, you don't want to go make your decision on an order-by-order basis, so you have the ability to use your batch approval, where I could come in here and choose a particular template, select a customer or an item code, and be able to go ahead and batch approve all of the documents. Again, allowing me to release the hot item out to the different customers. SAP Business One also gives me the ability to set up any alerts or notifications that I'd like to receive. Here you can see I've set up a past due alert that I want to be notified each day of any customer that's past due. This way I can proactively be aware, and you'll see it comes in as a message to my inbox. This could be sent to me by regular email or inside of SAP, and it's giving me a listing of all of my customers. I can see the number of overdue invoices, the total of the overdue invoice, and the oldest document that's overdue. This is just one example. I could have had any query that I'd like to be able to return my alerts, but once again, it's able to push the information to me. Also, when I do get paid, you'll see here that I have the ability to get a visual indicator of which invoices are overdue. I can select what's being paid. If I need to apply a cash discount, so let's say, okay, I relent and I give a 2% cash discount, I'm able to do so. Also able to accept a partial payment. So if they only paid me $1,000, I can modify the partial payment and just quickly and easily be able to choose how I'm being paid. So I can get paid by, as you can see, check, bank transfers or wires, credit cards, or cash. In fact, I can even be paid split. So for example, I could go ahead and take a $500 check and the balance on a credit card. Another way that I may receive incoming payments is automated through EDI. As you may know, EDI offers an 820 transaction, which is going to mean that my customer is going to pay me via electronic payment and send me an invoice. And I'm able to process that right here in Business One. As you can see, all of our EDI transactions are listed and managed here in Business One. There's no outside system to go to. And I would just come into my import payment advice. I'd see any of the documents that were available for me to import. I'd be able to just simply select them and then import them as well. Note that if I had this running fully automated with my processor, I don't even need to come to the screen. As my customer sends me the 820, I will immediately create the incoming payment. Another form of automation that can really help me is to make sure that my customers are actually getting their invoices. And a best way to do that is to send them electronically. So here you can see in our data messenger, I've actually built a template here, and it's going to automatically create an email for me. In this case, I have it automatically creating the template. So it's going to say the company name, the document number, it's going to insert the contact's name, and make a pretty nice script for me in terms of what I want to be able to say in the body of my email. You'll notice that I have all the different fields available to me. That's configurable in your setup, but let's go ahead and take a look at how easy it is to be able to make the data dynamic. So here you can see I'm saying I do want to actually send a PDF copy of my invoice along with it, and right now the file name is just the word invoice, and I don't want that. I want it to be a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it so that I can insert the company name. I'm going to say that I want it to be invoice, and then we'll go ahead and put in the document number as well. Now the PDF will be named with my company name and the document number in it, and that's much more efficient. Of course, on a day-to-day basis, you don't need to go work with the setup. Once the template's done, it will have the ability to automatically send. You can have it send automatically when the invoice is created, a separate email if there are any updates. You can do this for tracking numbers on delivery, any of the kinds of things that you might think of in terms of being able to send a message. You can even schedule a query so that if the invoice does become overdue, it automatically sends a second copy of the invoice to the customer. But for now, let's go ahead and take a look at if I'm going to do it manually here. So I'm going to go ahead and say my customer didn't get it. You'll notice right now I have all of my customers here, but if I want to be able to filter on do it best, I have the ability to do so. So I'm going to come in here and just say that I want do it best only, and it limits it down to just to do it best. As I'm talking to them, they say they don't have a copy of this invoice, and I'm just going to go ahead and send it to myself. And you'll notice that it would automatically pull up the email address of the contact if Bob Taylor had an email address. But I'm going to go ahead and override that and we'll just send a message. Now that I've sent the message, if I take a look at the invoice, you can see I actually have a record of it. It automatically created an activity. And if I drill in, I can see both the subject and the body of the email. Of course, my customer will get it as an email. So you can see it will look like this, again with my dynamic subject, a nice formatted message, and a copy of the attachment so they can get the full PDF. So here we take a look at a credit memo, and I got an email from the customer about it, so I can simply just take the email and just drag and drop it onto the credit memo so that it will stay attached with the credit memo for both myself and other people to be able to see. Anybody that wants to see it can simply view it and display and be able to see the email at any time. It's now permanently attached to this credit memo. Another nice thing that we have is the ability to have multiple different invoice types. So if you take a look here, you'll see I have the ability to use my default template, but I have multiple different templates. So if I have customers that require different invoice formats, maybe some are overseas, I have the ability to come in here and set different defaults. You'll notice that I could set the default for everybody, just for myself, changing it, or I can come in here and specify a default by individual user. But going back to the concept of having the overseas, I can come in here and specify it for this specific business partner, which is a customer, and that gives me the ability to make it so that even on a customer by customer basis, the system automatically knows which invoice format to send out. In addition, there are a couple of other functions and features. Of course, I also have the ability to run and work with just a traditional aging report. Again, I can look at my aging report either traditionally by customer, so I can come in here and say, okay, let me go ahead and see all of my aging, and I can export this to Excel. I can preview it as a report where I'm able to see all of my aging. And this was a summary aging. I could do this in detail as well. But one nice function is that I can also organize it by sales employee. What this is going to do is it's going to make it so that if I have my salespeople responsible for collecting their own aging, it organizes it by salesperson first and gives the total outstanding AR for each sales employee. Once again, I can push this to Excel or out to a Crystal report. I hope you've seen how using SAP Business One and Resolve gives the collections and credit manager complete visibility into the status of their customers, automation to ensure that the processes and workflows run smoothly, and helps them manage their staff. For more information about SAP Business One or Resolve, please visit our website at www.achieveits.com. Thank you very much.